So this week we had a couple questions. The first was, what's the American South? And the American South was a style or genre of writing or literature that was really brought to life by 12 older white men. And it had to do with a lot of pre-Civil War things, like a lot of agriculture, had to do with a lot of agriculture and slaves and Southern pride and things like that. The second question, how do fugitive agrarians define it, the American South? And it's kind of what I just said. When they wrote in this genre, this style, they talked a lot about agriculture, a lot about how things were before, how things were before the Civil War in the South. They didn't believe in how the United States was getting more and more modern. They thought that agriculture and the rural way of life was the way to go. The next set of questions are on O'Connor's story, A Good Man is Hard to Find. For the first part, what was the most interesting interpretations? And the one that I thought was really interesting was by John Desmond. And what I thought was interesting from his was how he related to how the grandma was acting towards the misfit and why that ultimately led to the misfit, killing the grandma and then, and her family. Desmond talks about things the grandma did to the misfit, even though it seemed good. Like, when reading it, we think that she's just being real nice, but to him, things he said, it was, you saw that it kind of drove him crazy, and that's what led him to kill her. Like, Desmond in here points out a part where the misfit says, I think he says it a couple times, how children make him nervous. He doesn't really seem like he likes children too much, and the grandma tells him, actually says to the misfit that that he's one of her babies, one of her own children. So just little things like that, and also that the misfit isn't he's not like a social person, it doesn't seem like. So when the grandma is trying to really connect with them and she touches them a couple times, like just trying to do a nice gesture, that too makes him feel really uncomfortable and makes him feel like he has to do something to get out of the situation or predicament of being uncomfortable, and killing her was a way to get out of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting how he tied that in. How does the salvation... Then the second question was, how does the salvation come into play in the story? The grandma definitely she seemed like a real southern lady, and a real religious one at that. She kept mentioning to the misfit that he should pray, or if he prayed, then things would good things would happen to him. When he talked about how he was buried alive, the first thing she said was, "Well, why didn't you pray?" So I think the grandma was trying to show him salvation by trying to get him to pray, because she didn't just ask him to pray about that. She said that he should pray because he's not really a bad person, that he's actually a good person. And if he would pray, then I guess she figured it'd make things alright. So even though it didn't work out for him, he killed her, so obviously it didn't work out, but so I think the grandma was trying, so I think that's where it came into play in the story.